This is The Evening Buzz, presented by Mikail Atiyeh.
Bungie has finally unveiled their next big game, that is Marathon. Now, some people might find that name quite familiar. I mean, if you were we're talking really like a 90s gamer, you may have heard of that franchise. Because actually, Marathon was one of the first games that Bungie developed back in 1994. And for the time, it was an actually revolutionary sci-fi shooter. But Bungie, of course, a few years later, worked on Halo, and that became their big, magnus opus, as people like to say. Then they went on to do Destiny, and that revolutionized the live service ecosystem. And so, from 1994 to now, it's been over 30 years, and Bungie is reviving the Marathon franchise once more. But this time around, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a slick new extraction shooter that's basically similar to games like Escape from Tarkov, but it has that cyberpunk chaos to it, all wrapped up in Bungie's signature gunplay that people know and love. They went all out. They sent out an entire package of this, a new cinematic trailer, a gameplay deep dive, and especially the cinematics is directed by Alberto Milgo, because I'll be honest, I was looking at it and it is so visually jarring and surreal, and it's got this hyper-realistic look to it. And I'm like, I know this animator. He's done work before like this, and I remembered back on Netflix's animated anthology, Love, Death, and Robots, he actually directed two of these that have very distinct styles. The Witness, as well as another amazing one on the third season. It was called Yabaro. And I tell you, really great choice from Bungie, because I think it really sets the tone, the style, and the feel of what this game really is. So just to give you guys a bit of an idea, you play as a runner, a cloned cyber-enhanced mercenary scavenging a long-lost colony on a planet called Tau City 4. And it's going to be a PvPvE game, meaning you'll be up against other players and enemy AI, all trying to extract with your loot intact. And then we look at really the design choice here, the artistic direction. Very distinct, very unique. It's got this almost like pristine cybernetic polish, but then a splash of color paint across the board, and it has also a little bit of dimness to everything. And I guess it's surreal, and it sticks out. Like, I don't think there's anything like it, and that's what makes it interesting. It's also important to know that Marathon is not trying to be Destiny 3, but Destiny players will definitely feel at home with that tight, responsive shooting, because there's a lot of gunplay. They showed us quite a few interesting play styles that you can go for. The medic, the sort of like hit and run type of play, or you want to be the tank that helps support your team with a shield. It's up to 18 players who are going to drop into a map, either solo or in squads of 3, navigating dynamic environments with weather effects, time limits, and all kinds of random chaos. And it's hoping to not be your average shooter, because if you die before extraction, your hard-earned loot is pretty much gone. And that's sort of the idea of an extraction. It's similar to a battle royale, but where in battle royale, you just get the loot, and the objective is to try to win. And when you win, you don't really take all the loot that you collected. It's just kind of like reset, do it all over again. Extraction, it's a battle royale, but the loot you carry actually you can keep into for another match. And so you basically collect all this loot, gear up to have a different style or approach on the next match. But again, there is that risk and reward thing where if you take better loot with you or better gear, you have a chance of losing it. So it's got that risk reward tension that extraction shooter is kind of all known about. And Bungie is trying to lean really hard into it. There's also going to be a revive mechanic, so getting knocked doesn't necessarily mean game over. But let's not forget the loadouts. Players get sponsored packages. This is something they showcased in the trailer. From in-game factions to keep everyone geared for a fight, with plenty of space to build custom characters through implants, weapons, attachments, and even rare exotic style gear. There's a few runners that they've showcased. One is called Locust, Blackbird, Glitch, and Void, each with distinct looks and abilities. So expect a meta to emerge, but also some room for some wild experimentation. What have been my thoughts about this? I'm somewhere in the middle. You know, I like the art direction, the style, the design, the gunplay, but I am a little bit disappointed that it's only going to be an extraction game. It feels like this ambitious project feels like it's been put into a narrow space and it's not allowed to do anything besides this. I understand that Bungie is trying to look at it as a live service approach. You know, it's a game that has to make money somehow, and it has to be a long-term multiplayer experience. And so when you have to build it as a live service, you have to think of what are some popular live service subgenres or modes that people will always come back to. Battle Royale seems to be the case, but they don't want to make it that formulaic, and so they switched it to an extraction. But what about just other multiplayer modes, like, you know, an arena-based mode, something similar to Halo, or even a team deathmatch or deathmatch, or, you know, survival of the fittest, king of the hill type of modes? I feel like it requires that sort of variety for it to just be able to appeal to more players. Not everyone likes to play extractions. Not everybody wants to play it. And so I feel like you are alienating a group of a target audience, a group of players who could love the gunplay and the gameplay and everything about it, but they just don't want to play an extraction mode. So I feel like they need to offer a lot more modes for it to really stand out and just have at least a better chance of competing with other big shooter games out there. I want it to succeed, but I feel like, again, they need to do more than just extraction. And I see the reception, I see the feedback. There's already people who are super hyped and they're happy. And then there's another group that are saying, yeah, this is not for me. This is already not for me, I don't care. And I hate to see that. You know, this is Bungie. This is a big studio. They're one of the legendaries of the industry, you know, and they I feel like they hit the mark, but they kind of missed the picture at the same time. But I'm gonna be giving myself the benefit of the doubt for this game when it comes out in September 23, available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. We'll see then if it really has a chance to stand out and last as long as other big live services, even one that is such as Destiny 2, their big live service project. But if you've gotten the chance to see Marathon, what are your thoughts and opinion about it? Do let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more news from the world of entertainment right here on the Evening Buzz.